can't he move? Why is he clinically paralyzed? Well, we don't know. As far as we know, as far as I know, there's no science in this. So when you read about clinical paralysis, it sounds good. It sounds like there's science behind it, but actually it's just an idea that there is this state of being that some people apparently get into sometimes where they just can't move for some reason. Anyway, I want you to imagine that you're in a shopping centre and you've got a list of things to do, and oh, does my wife really want me to buy that? It's huge, I'm not carrying that. And oh, there's an altercation over there. Some people are being very loud and shouting at each other, but anyway, what else does she want? Oh, she hasn't said what size. Blimey, it's coming to blows now, they're punching each other. Well, I suppose security will be along in a moment, but there are loads of people watching. I imagine they must know who they are, because I don't know who they are. Anyway, and you go back to your list, and that is how most people behave. And there are loads of people who will just stand and gawp as two people in a shopping centre, in full view of maybe hundreds of people, start punching each other and doing other extremely dangerous and undesirable things, until one maverick looks around and thinks, well, is nobody going to intervene? And he rushes to intervene, and that is the moment that the spell is then broken. And oh, someone's rushing to intervene. Oh yeah. And then you get 6 other guys who realise all at the same time, oh, I can be a hero too as well. And they perhaps have a race to be the first to intervene so that they can say that it was their idea. Until someone breaks the spell, a large number of people can just stay frozen. And this happens in war, it seems. An awful lot of people will sit tight until somebody does, no, we really have to move, and they start moving, and everyone goes, oh yeah, we really do have to move, and then things actually start happening. So sometimes it can take just a single individual, the maverick if you like, someone with a bit more gumption and initiative to break the spell. So that's one reason that your troops, when you give an order, might be doing nothing. They're just sort of frozen. They're going, cognitive blink perhaps. Another thing that they might be doing is fussing. Now, fussing is a bit of a vague term, as I dare say you spotted. It covers a multitude of sins. It's just doing all sorts of tasks that may be of some use, but they're not really of prime military use. They're not what's necessary right now. They're certainly not what should be your highest priority. There's a story, for instance, of an officer who was apparently a bit like David Niven, rather than somebody does, no, we really have to move, and they start moving, and everyone goes, oh yeah, we really do have to move, and then things actually start happening. So sometimes it can take just a single individual, the maverick if you like, someone with a bit more gumption and initiative to break the spell. So that's one reason that your troops, when you give an order, might be doing nothing. They're just sort of frozen. They're going, cognitive blink perhaps. Another thing that they might be doing is fussing. Now, fussing is a bit of a vague term, as I dare say you spotted. It covers a multitude of sins. It's just doing all sorts of tasks that may be of some use, but they're not really of prime military use. They're not what's necessary right now. They're certainly not what should be your highest priority. There's a story, for instance, of an officer who was apparently a bit like David Niven, rather sort of dapper and charming. And he was offered a medal in a battle that he was involved with in Korea, but he turned it down because he was actually embarrassed about how he had behaved. Now, he'd done a lot of good things. When the Chinese were attacking, he'd put together a unit, got them into a useful place, deployed them, and they usefully defended a part of the front. So you think, well, there you go, job done. But actually, for most of the battle, he wasn't commanding his men at all. And later, when he found out what had been happening elsewhere in the battle, he realised, actually, if I'd redeployed my men during the battle, once they'd done the job there to over there, they would have been far more useful. But instead, he got caught in a sort of cycle, a loop, if you like, of behaviour. He was going back and forwards to the HQ, to the first aid station. He was ferrying wounded about, and he was getting reports from HQ, and he was bringing in, this was the main thing, he was bringing in ammunition. He was making sure that his men had what they needed, water bottles, magazines. He was loading up loads of extra magazines, and by the end of the battle, his men had a ridiculous superabundance of stuff neatly stacked up, every type of grenade in neat rows. His forwards to the HQ, to the first aid station. He was ferrying wounded about, and he was getting reports from HQ, and he was bringing in, this was the main thing, he was bringing in ammunition. He was making sure that his men had what they needed, water bottles, magazines. He was loading up loads of extra magazines, and by the end of the battle, his men had a ridiculous superabundance of stuff neatly stacked up, every type of grenade in neat rows. He'd gone to far more effort doing all that than he should have been, when he was an officer. He was supposed to be commanding his men, and yet his men were greatly admiring of him because he had so much energy. He was running around all over the place, and he was so cheery the whole time, and the people in HQ saw him. Oh, you're back. Oh, you got more news for us. Oh, and he's off again doing some stuff for his men. Great. And so they offered him a medal, but he realized that what he was actually doing most of the time was fussing. He was not doing what really he should have been doing. Now, if people can manage something, if there's something they can do, they quite like to do it. And they get sometimes obsessed with details. So getting all the grenades together, and that's something I can do right now. And so they get caught in that cycle of behavior and end up carrying on fussing over details that are pretty irrelevant and doing a task over and over again. And sometimes it might be a personal thing. They might, for instance, be fussing over their own kit. I've read stories of men who are in shell holes very close to the enemy, who then start going through their pack and repacking their pack and getting it just right. I've got to get it just right, and they'll pack their pack 3 times and then still not satisfied with it. Why are they doing that when the main thing they should be doing is attacking the enemy? Why are they going through all their photographs of their family? No, that's not the thing to be doing right then. There's a battle on, you should be doing that, but they start fussing, and once they've started fussing, it can be difficult to stop. Others get fixated, as our man in Korea did, on the unit and what can I do for the unit, but they're not actually doing the thing they should be doing. There are accounts of people who've been digging in, for instance, because that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, digging in, I know how to do that. Good, I'm doing something useful, digging in, that's what you're supposed to do. I'm a soldier, this is what we're supposed to do. And they continue digging in whilst the enemy is closing to bayonet range. Because they get caught in that loop of behaviour. They're not really fighting, they're just fussing. And if you give them an order, and they'll carry on digging because that's where their mind is. They've got caught in a behavioural rut, if you like. Now, experiments have been done. For instance, I think it was the British Army that experimented with repairing radios. So they had signallers who had been trained how to repair radios. Obviously, if you're a radio operator, you need to know what's likely to break on your radio and how to repair it. So they'd all been trained, and these guys knew their stuff, but they were led to believe that they were actually being shelled, that they were in a bunker and their position was being shelled. It was actually synthesized, but these guys were convinced that they were being shelled. And the guys who were convinced that they were being shelled took half as long again to mend their radio. So being under pressure slows you down. Perhaps that doesn't surprise you that much. But given an unfamiliar radio, say that they would normally repair it in 10 minutes, it was taking them 3 times as long. It was taking them half an hour. And what they were doing was making the same stupid mistakes over and over again. This is an unfamiliar radio. You've got to remember that, no, that such and such a dial is on that side, not that side. So when you go through the certain routine that you're supposed to do when fixing the doodah, you've got to remember that it's the knob the other side. But they would just go through the normal pattern that they were used to, and it wouldn't work. So they would do it again. They wouldn't stop and think, why didn't that work? Oh, the knob's the other side. No, they would just repeat and repeat. Why isn't it working? I did it. I did the thing. I did the thing. You saw me do the thing. And they would do it again. And then afterwards, when the pressure was off, yeah, I should have. But under pressure, you miss stuff and you get caught in cycles of behavior. People have memory filters as well. Slightly confusing term, but there is this idea where you just ignore everything other than, like, imagine how many times have you heard someone gets mugged? And they say, so who was he then, the guy who mugged you? Did you get a good look at him? No. But what do you mean? He was right in front of you. Yeah, was he wearing a mask? No, I don't think so. So was he ginger? Was he dark? I don't know. But they can tell you every detail of the knife because they were just completely focused on the knife that was in front of them, and everything else is blanked out. I was talking about getting caught in a loop. Now, sometimes, of course, this comes from muscle memory. So, for instance, if you've been trained to do a thing, it involves a repetitive action over and over again, then that goes into muscle memory. And this is a possible explanation for the oft-mentioned phenomenon of the multi-loaded muskets that were found at after the Battle of Gettysburg. So the Battle of Gettysburg in the American Civil War has just happened. People are clearing up the battlefield, and there are an awful lot of muskets and rifles lying about. And these get picked up, and it's found that they've got not one charge in them, but several. A lot of them were double loaded, and some of them had a dozen charges and balls in them, and yet